Welcome to another episode of LanceScurv Show. This morning, we had a shooting in Orlando, and I'm quite sure headphones on, but I'll keep them on until I play this clip. And I'm not going to go and try to be a reporter, but I'm going to let the clip explain everything. And I want to add a few more comments, and I am pressed for time, but I had to get this out there, and we'll speak about this at a later date. So here we go.
At about 8:03 a.m. this morning, we received a 911 emergency call into our communications center about an active shooter situation here at the Fiamma Incorporated business. This is a worldwide business that primarily provides accessories for RVs. At about 8:45 a.m. this morning, we were dispatched here to this call. Deputies arrived on scene just 2 minutes later to the active shooter call for service. Arrived here, they found multiple individuals that had been shot. 3 male victims were deceased at that time. The victim was deceased. A fifth person, a male, was transported to the Orlando Regional Medical Center where he subsequently died as a result of his injuries. There were 7 survivors, individuals who were inside this business who are being interviewed presently by detectives from the Orange County Sheriff's Office. We have a 45-year-old subject deceased inside as a result of his own means. The individual was armed with a handgun and a knife this morning. There's no indication that he used a knife on any of the victims, but shot 5 innocent people this morning and then turned the gun on himself and killed himself. The individual in question is a former employee of this business. He was fired sometime in April of this year. So he was a disgruntled employee of this business this morning. About 3 years ago, in June of 2014, we did respond to this business in which the subject who is responsible for the deaths this morning was a workplace violence incident in which he allegedly battered another employee here in the business. Indication that this subject is a participant in any type of terror organization. What this is at this point is likely a workplace violence incident. We will get more into the details of the investigation as it unfolds.
I'm pressed for time.
A lot of Western people don't know much.
Okay, we're going to have to
about
shut
it.
this down.
We'd like to know.
Hold on. There we go. There we go. Let's just, yeah. Yes. Crystal, Barbara, Tracy. This is a question. I really shouldn't have started this particular topic, but I wanted to speak about it while it's hot. And we all know we have our plantation duties today. I have so much to say about this. Number one, there's a spiritual satanic stronghold over Orlando, Florida, believe it or not. Don't believe the tourist lie, an illusion. Disney, Universal, you come down, you see the palm trees, you see everything fabricated to bring you into a higher state of bliss, to get away from the worries and woes that you go through in your normal everyday life. It's crafted that way. It's an illusion. It's a paper cutout. It's not real. And you're factured. For those who work in Disney and Universal, and I'm picking on them, and I'm saying it for a reason on this particular story, and I have to keep looking up because, you know, when I start talking, I don't stop. Look into their eyes and see how happy they really are with the low wages that they're making. The shooting that took place today, you heard it from Sheriff Deming's mouth. Things are going to be in development. Things are going to come out. So I'm not trying to be a reporter, but I had to play that first so that nobody can say you said this and you said that. I'm going off of the same news that everybody else is going off on. It's a disgruntled ex-employee who was fired in April who came back and shot those innocent people. And no matter what the color, because we know basically that the shooter had to be white or not black, because if he was black, they would have showed it. It would have been all over the place, okay? Not to make this a color thing, but I have to get my kicks in because this is how the media is. If it was me, I'd be a monster, right? But my feelings and condolences and love and prayers go out to the families, right? Regardless of the color. So let's be fair. They didn't deserve that. You're in the way of karma coming to visit you, not the victims. Air over Orlando. Orlando is a wicked place, right? So being here in this wicked place, things will happen in reaction on a spiritual level to bring balance, right? Okay. Now, this particular individual had a situation back in 2014 on the same job where I'm assuming he got into a fight or he hit somebody or something happened. The cops had to be called. This situation is indicative of the bigger situation in Orlando, Florida, where there's a lot of wickedness going on here. To the people who are local, right? My minutes are coming down. To the people who are local who love to say that Pine Hills is crime hills. That's where I live, Pine Hills, and call it crime hills. But I haven't seen anything like this happening, crime hills, like you say. Yes, there are shootings that happen all over Orlando, but this is one that you couldn't keep quiet because the image of Orlando has to be kept hush hush with those things when they happen. And when they do happen, it has to have a face like me. Call it for what it is. Ha ha ha, I told you so, serve you right. It's on that side of town, so good for them. No, human life that's lost, it's a bad thing. And it hurts me no matter who it is, because imagine these people got up this morning to go to work, man, and they're at work minding their business, and this happens. And then the families have to find out. They used to say, hey, let's meet up for lunch, or this is what I'm going to do next weekend, or I'm saving my money up. You have hopes and dreams. So don't even misconstrue my words and say that I'm trying to be separate, a person who's divisive and separate or anything like that. But when wrong is done overall, the truth must be told. Orlando, Florida has a wicked history, and this is a wicked place. Through my neighborhood and look at the trees. When you look at the history, and big shout out to Gamer G, we're going to start going in on the history of Central Florida and Orlando, Florida, because they try to cover up so much. The internet is only as good as what you upload, right? So if we don't see it, we say, oh, it probably didn't happen. Because we need to document our own history through video, through writing, so that we can put these things up. But from what I'm learning, Orlando, Florida is a very wicked place. And when I see the trees, the big trees that I know have been around for hundreds of years, I wonder how many people who look like me have been hung from those trees. Reading Brother Cosmo's book. And there's a lot of folks who don't like that. I have the books. Keeps itself in balance. And karma is not always your enemy, your friend, right? So the more you do to the darker peoples here in Orlando, Florida, to smear them and gentrify their neighborhoods and keep them out of good wages and arrest them falsely. Yes, we have bad people of all races, colors, and creeds here in Orlando, Florida are catching it. And the universe will always fight to remain in balance. And it's a lot of satanic activity going on here. When you leave beyond the confines of the tourist area, this is not too nice of a place. You could be in the middle lane on a street that has 3 lanes, and there's a car, 20 car lengths behind you on the left lane that you're trying to get into. You throw your signal and they speed up to keep you from getting over. The people who work here on various jobs, supervisors. Let's talk about the supervisors. Supervisors on jobs, because they're there to work and get their money too, right? But the bottom line, there are too many supervisors who use their power to harass. And I'm not saying at this particular job would this happen, because I do believe that that person, that individual may have had a behavioral problem or anger issues. Anyway, we don't know. No, because I have been on jobs, and those who know me read between the lines. And harassed for several years on a job by this one particular supervisor. And when I articulated my feelings to him and explained to him how karma worked, because karma came to visit him, there was balance put back in his life from what he did to me. and they tried to paint me like the monster. But see, what about a situation like this? We'll never know. But this place, I'm telling you, from living here for the last 15 years, there are a lot of things that go on under the cover. And when things like this happen, it's only because it called for it. Now, I only have 2 or 3 more minutes. So maybe it sounds like I'm rambling. Maybe later on I'll come back and settle down on my words. But it's just a very emotional thing for me when I see this happening on that side of town that's not part of the Black community. But so many people come and want to smear off where I live in a beautiful neighborhood. Happen here. But Sheriff Jerry Demings called for a task force to get the thugs in line and the crime that's here, and it's so terrible, and everything happens here, right? Task force for the whole damn city, because the whole damn city is just out of control. And the spirit in this place, the people generally are not nice. Here, this place is based on that. Back in the 70s, a person like me, if I was in downtown Orlando, I would have had to pay 25 cents to use the restroom in a department store. Have to do that. What kind of place is this? And this is what's still here on the political level. You see all the people moving down massively from up north. New York, Chicago, Detroit, even LA, Dallas, Atlanta. People are moving down here. This is the second biggest destination that people come to as they migrate to the South. I'm going to say it, per capita, this is number 2 on a list of murders and shootings, number 2 on the list, and Chicago is number 9 last year. Per capita now, Chicago has more numbers because there's more people, but if you take a slice of 100,000 people out of Chicago and a slice of 100,000 people out of Orlando, guess what? Pound for pound, Orlando has more killings here. I tell you that. You from the family-friendly imagery that they want to put out about Orlando, Florida. And yes, there are some very nice areas here, unless you have a whole lot of this. And even when you do have a whole lot of this, it doesn't mean that you're going to be loved if you come in the wrong packaging. Blue-collar working Joes all over the place believing the propaganda that Pine Hills, Florida is crime hills and the problem is here. No, Satan doesn't concern himself where he does his evil. Just like when the rain comes, it doesn't concern itself if it's raining over the rich part of town or the poor part of town. When it's raining, it's raining. When it floods, it floods. When a fire comes, it doesn't matter where. Heroin on the east side, but they don't talk about that. We have so much pedophiles and child molesters over in the affluent Windermere, but they don't talk about that. But they demonize us here. Has been built up massively, but they don't say anything about that. That's just right behind me. I'm right by the borderline. We drove up there and they took all the farms and open land and tore it down and built these homes, and the news is not talking about it. But Pine Hills is between Ocoee and downtown, so we must be demonized so they can gentrify this area also. And I'm not going anywhere. Even when I do, I'm holding on to it right here. So we need people to talk about this. And this week, Gamer G and I, we're going to hit the streets and we're going to work the camera. We're going to talk about all of these issues. Utah Canyon, I want you here on the phone with me. You have some things to say, and we don't always disagree. I'm in agreement with you most of the time, but we need to expand this thing. And instead of demonizing Pine Hills, we need to know that Orlando, there are wicked things going on here. And this really is what's going on in the whole country. I'm going to sign off right now. Mass is calling, unfortunately. But until that time, I'm always going to speak the truth. And one day, take care. I love you all. Bye-bye.